It's a good team.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Chart Talk 81 in the building. Shouts out to Terrell Owens. Let's jump right into the market outlook. So, I mean, we got a huge bounce in the SPY, the S&P names. We're still in this, clearly up in this channel, this uptrend. Really technically healthy action on the SPY. Saw a huge extension today into resistance. Gap and go on a Monday after we gapped and went on Friday. Back-to-back gap and go days. So, I mean, I am not looking to initiate new positions into this strength. If we get a dip, I'll look to buy them, but I'm not chasing these highs. As you see, we're at these resistance levels. We did finally see the Qs come back today. We saw the big mega cap tech names like Google, market leader. Shouts out to us saying the trade alert off 2000 last week. Google, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, all these guys are finally making moves, showing some relative strength today. So, is that going to continue? We will definitely watch out for it, but they've been relatively weak all year. I mean that's really it broadly. We're not seeing the same reactions to the 10-year. 10-year is still ticking higher, but we don't care about inflation, I guess, this week. So, the market picks and chooses its narratives that it cares about. Right now, the uptrend remains strong. So Ben, what are your thoughts over there?
So just like you said, we broke that psychological level of 400 in the SPY. The pivot low is 383. We talked about this in the big picture where through these big levels, SPY 300, SPY 400, it's a big psychological level. So tends to be one of two different outcomes. One is we blow through it as we've started to, and it's the next race to 500 where that's 25% from here. It's not as crazy of a move as one would think, or you kind of chop around in this 400 range, which we saw SPY 300, where for almost 2 years we battled with that area. You'd break 300, go to 305, we'd pull back 5%, and we'd continue to battle with that. So it's kind of those two camps. Either 400 becomes this new area of resistance, or we kind of blow through it, and we just continue on to the next major level, which would be 500 down the road. So that's my little take on the market outlook. And if you'd like, we can go into some of the top ideas for the week.
Yeah, let's jump in, huh?
All right, so first one we have AVGO.
Semis strong, man. I mean, this is the problem we're gonna run into in a lot of these charts where they look good on a macro time frame. You look at the weekly chart. This thing looks like it wants to explode higher, but you have to factor in it's 3 big up days off support. I'm not looking to buy this one tomorrow. We get some sideways and then move through the all-time high level. Then I'd be interested. But I have no interest in buying this breakout tomorrow on the 4th day higher. It just hasn't been paying this year.
No, definitely agree. Next we have this site, SITE.
Oh, man, this is actually my favorite chart going into tomorrow. So, I mean, we're going to give it to him. Where's this? Very loose. Well, I'm looking for a little chart tool. Oh, curve. Very loose cup and handle. Cup and handles usually are over much bigger time frames, but the psychology's there where it comes through, tests those highs, flags out, and then looks to take out that high after some proper consolidation. That's what we're looking through here. So I'm looking through this 178 area against those 169 pivots. This is definitely a really good looking chart.
All right, next up we have MDT.
MDT, another one. This one looks really great. These are more macro charts. These aren't going to be 3-day trades. They're going to look like they're going to be month-long trades. Because this will need to break this level, and then it'll take some time to really gain. But it looks very good from a macro standpoint.
All right, next we have EL. Estee Lauder.
Oh, shit.
Through 3.
Oh, yeah. This is trade of the week. Love this name. Yeah, 298, 300. This last pivot high is 298, so I'm looking at that as the proper technical entry point. But, yeah, you got to give it to this 289 low. And, again, these more macro trades are working out. These low day stops and momentum moves just haven't been the same this year, so it's really about buying into ideas, giving them the proper amount of risk, and then playing the patience game, letting them pay you. So love this EL.
All right, next we have this Yum Brands, YUM.
Yum. Yeah, this one looks great as well. So we were buying this one here, right out of the base. What was this? 105, 106 area. Then we had another alert on this pivot down here when it retested that area to get involved as a support buy. So I personally have trouble buying it up here when we had those options we were looking at. But it definitely looks like it moves higher through this 112 pivot. Name looks really good. Restaurants look really good. So it makes a lot of sense.
All right. Next up, we have COO.
Yeah, I like this one a lot too. Koopa. This is, what are we looking at here? The 390 area. Nice consolidation. You want to see it push up through this 390 area with some gusto, some volume on its side. Looks pretty good.
All right. SCL.
SCL. I think this one, we want this one to flag out as much as possible before this 130, 150, 132 area. What's this high? 130, 172. So yeah, we'll call it 132. The more consolidation we can get below 132, the better this setup becomes. So I would love some sideways action before looking for an entry.
Nice. All right, so we ran through your list quite quickly. I have two that I'm keeping an eye on. One is a ZBH.
Nice. Yeah, this looks really good.
Through that 164, and then this PVH through this 108 area.
Yeah, baby. PVH. That looks great. A little inside day today. I like that one.
All right, so we actually went through those quite quickly. The one question we had this week was what happened with Billy.
With Billy Boy?
Billy Boy, what happened?
Damn, we got to talk about Billy Boy. And there's a lot of shady stuff going on. So very broadly, I talked about this in the video earlier. Bill Hwang, this guy's a legendary investor. He came from Tiger Capital, which is like, they were the premier hedge fund in New York City. He was in the Tiger Asia firm. So he was mostly in Asian stocks. But what he did was he left Tiger Management, started his own, and raised, but also was a huge portion of his own capital, up to $10 billion. Hit up 5 different banks, and the shady part is he used the same exact collateral to go to each bank to get the $10 billion in leverage. And as you know and I know, like getting a mortgage as a trader is not the easiest thing in the world. So the fact that all these banks gave him money because he has so much money, using the same collateral, very shady. So what this guy did was, he had these massive, massive positions, and we were wondering why, Viacom was up so much every day. This guy's just fucking buying $20 billion worth. This name comes down and it triggers a margin call. All these banks, Deutsche and all these guys lending him money want that money back. So he has to sell off all his positions. We don't know the exact number of losses he incurred. There are rumors it was $8 billion. There are rumors it was $20 billion. No one really knows. But, the guy was on top of the world a few weeks ago with $10 billion. Now, is he broke? Who knows? But that is not the way you want to invest and trade. Now, he did come to this, crazy amounts of wealth with leverage and, being right and correct and through all these years. But, the fact remains, he was wrong for a week and lost it all. So, I mean, if that's how you want to invest, you're in the wrong place coming to us. I can't even imagine what that guy's going through. But so he pretty much over-levered himself, lost it all in a week and a half. We don't really know too many updates. Got the banks slaughtered in the process, $3 and $4 billion. I think Credit Suisse lost $3 billion. All these like crazy, crazy stories. So, just telling us everything we don't want to do when we invest is, put literally all your eggs in one basket, get 5 more baskets of eggs and put those eggs in those baskets, Shouts out to Easter. Shouts out to Jay Christ. But, it's just so many lessons. And it's like this guy was the top of the top. So you think, he's the guy you want to emulate, and then a week later he's gone. So it means there's just really, really clear example of what not to do in investing.
Yeah. Definitely don't over-concentrate and definitely don't over-leverage. I think that's the
the thing was, he wasn't even like crazily over-concentrated. He was heavy in, this Disc A, that Viacom. We're seeing these sell-offs. They were caused by him because he had to do such massive selling. But, I mean, he was in like 20 or 30 names, and he was in all these Chinese names that went crazy to the downside, like this Hoya. So, I mean, it was just, the perfect storm for this guy. I generally feel for the guy. It's awful, but, that's the game. It's a vicious game.
It's a rough one. All these charts are just...
Yeah, insanity. Insanity.
All right, so going off that, you want to jump into some good trade, bad trade?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm coming back from vacation, so I don't have much going on. The two I can talk about are the adjustments that we need to be making this year. We're seeing an ever-changing market. We're not seeing the momentum as much there. So we were buying this UPS. I think I bought in this area. It's more of a macro trade. 164, 165 area, but I'm giving to these lows, and I'm letting the name work itself out. I'm waiting for either a huge sell-off to get out or a flag to pivot for a pivot to move my stop or something like that. Another one was this Walmart. You still in this with me?
Walmart? No, I'm actually not.
Oh, damn. Look at me. I'm such a better long-term trader than you. So we bought this 130. It gives us this pivot. I did move my stop up to this pivot, which was 130 where we bought. And now my stop's below this area. And, it started to take off today. And you look at this chart, and here's why I'm saying we have to buy into ideas, give them the proper stop. Because after this buy at 130, there aren't many appetizing setups to get in the name. So especially in a grind higher market, you got to be involved. Like, to catch this SPY gap up today, you had to have stock. It wasn't a great day if you bought stock and, tried to sell later in the day. The intraday gains weren't that much. But, you look at the 6-7 day move, and it was a crazy move from low to highs. So, that's the adjustments I'm trying to make. Buy into less ideas, give them more room, have more of a macro standpoint. Don't be so focused on the short-term gains, things like that. So just adjustments I'm trying to make. What do you got? Yeah. I know you got a shitload to go over.
Yeah. So the Walmart, that was probably one of the last names recent that I got stopped out break even, where price was, we bought up to 130, I got stopped out like 129.90, basically that low of that tick. So that was one of the last ones. And then going into the trades recently, been like what you said, just giving it versus the proper pivot. That first chart from the pull up, it's at ABBV. This one I got in with some.
Nice. You fucked up Walmart, so you bring up my arch nemesis, ABBV. I see you. I see you, bro. I see you.
So again, this was we had some bad news, but it's still set up versus that 102. I got in it with some of the members who were still in it, and this was kind of like that round trip lesson for the members who were in it pre that gap down, where as it comes back to your price, this tends to be those times where you want to start getting rid of it. And today's a perfect example of that, where the guys who were buying 108 were break even or a little bit profitable the last couple of days, and this is where they would want to give it back or just get out of it, where they sat through all the pain. So for me, and even for me, like I bought 105, so I'm close to break even, but again, I'm still going to treat it versus that proper out, which is versus 102. That's the real out of us being wrong. So that's kind of giving it versus the prop pivot, going along with what Shake was saying. Next,
I got a question. We might differ in this. Mm-hmm. So all right, so let's say you bought with me. You bought the 108, 109 area. Mm-hmm. You go through the vicious gap down. You hold on to the stock. It comes back to your price. You're saying hold the stock and treat it properly? Because I am getting the fuck out of that.
Well, so that's where it's like, even for me, like if I was in it pre that gap down, I would want to get out as well. But that's just that round trip of we sat through. In this example, it's like you sat through the pain. And as it's getting back to that price, back to that 108, it's more than likely going to head back higher in time, and that's usually the time where we want to get rid of it. Just like the third time's a trump through resistance. The person who bought that retest can't wait to sell it at that third time's a trump.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. But I'll be that guy in this scenario.
But that's what I'm saying. And again, in your trade, it's a little bit different, but that's just like for us. More 9 times out of 10, when it gets back to our price, if we sat through the pain, it's probably going to continue that trend higher, where that's when we kind of want to sit with it versus trying to get rid of it, even though emotionally or not liking the name, we would want to get out of it.
Right.
Even for me, it's like my price is 105. Like I still wouldn't mind getting it at 105 now, break even. But just like that Walmart example, I moved that stop to break even. It ticked me out by the penny, and you're still in it because you traded it properly. So that was more or less the lesson of that round trip of when it gets back to your price, you want to get rid of it, but it's usually the time where you should start to hold it. Next is AMD, if you want to scroll over one.
Nice. Hell yeah, that's a nice buy.
So again, we saw AMD. A lot of these trades were names that were coming into support, and we bought on the way up. So again, major support in this AMD going back to last summer has been this 73 area. We saw it come down to 75, put in a higher pivot low, and start to reverse. We bought up versus that low. Again, the range is 70 to 100, so it's not like I'm trying to sell this here at 85. It gets there. Ideally, the goal is to hold it for those slower moves back to those highs. Next is the CERN, a name that we got.
It's a lofty goal, though. That's a lofty goal.
That's the idea. Again, that's why I put ideal target, because
okay. I didn't put ideal is very important.
Yeah. So again,
let's check back in a couple weeks.
Exactly.
On that one.
So that's the ideal target. It's not if it goes to 90 and we'll see how the trade goes, but that's the ideal target is to hold at least till then.
But here's the thing. So, all right. So this is a perfect example of what we're talking about. Is you had the proper buy here, and now this name wants to move higher. It doesn't look like you had the perfect entry, but there's no entries besides that one that are good entries.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying it's like you got to buy into ideas, give them the proper room. And because, in a grind up market, you're not getting as many opportunities at great buys because the market's constantly moving higher and it's like more of the grind up mode. So just throw 2 cents in there.
Now, even for this, it's like, I think for us, more of the last year is more like the 1 or 2 entries and then 1 or 2 exits, but not really focused on adding or dollar cost averaging higher because we haven't been really giving the names the time to put in those new pivots. So this is one where, like, if AMD drifts up to 85 and starts to pull back, it's like eventually you can add up through 85 after that new pivot high. But again, we're getting too far into the what ifs of.
Yeah, I mean, even that's a tough buy when you buy 76.
No, I know. Yeah, so we got a few more. Let's see. We got the CERN. This is one, again, we've traded dozens of times through the 73 level over the years. Again, this one's set up again. We bought 73 versus 71, and again, ideal target is that retest. Will we be able to hold on to it until then? We'll see what happens. But for now, it's $2 risk, and it looks good. Dash. This was probably my worst trade in quite some time, and again, completely opposite of everything we do. We avoid 52-week lows. We avoid what's cheap, even though relatively speaking, Dash isn't really that cheap. But from where it was trading at, just not a name or a setup that we typically focus on. And this was one where, I lost 6% in this name, which, I'm not risking 6% in AMD or Snap or any of these recent buys that were nice, tight, actual setups, where this was just kind of like a shot, and it just was a wasted shot. Like, it's, this was just kind of a bad trade and a reaffirming lesson of why we avoid the stocks that are bottom right, where it's just so much easier to buy, the names that are top right.
I personally don't think 6% in Dash is too big a loss.
No.
I mean, if you factor in the relativity of the name could move like fucking 8% a day and shit like that. Yeah. So are you worn out? You're not going to buy 140?
No. So this is a name that I actually have in my M1, one of my. So that but again, that's what we're saying. Like through 140, it's still technically.
Through 140, I think it's perfect.
Great.
I can't wait to buy it. Yeah.
So now I'm gonna have to buy it again. But this was just something where it was just that again, 6% in the name, not the worst thing, but just for me, that 6% loss was annoying relative to the other trades where I can lose 1% or 2% and kind of move on and not care.
Yeah, and I'm sure the annoying part comes from psychologically you're trying to pick a bottom.
Exactly. Yeah. Next up, we got this DHR. Again, similar to this AMD, a lot of the other names we saw come into support. This 212 area, we saw it hold. Again, we weren't trying to pick the 212 low. We let it set up. We bought up through 220. Again, it's just kind of a grinder. Even like we talked about before in AMD, to buy through 86 is a much tougher trade. To buy 227, 228 here in DHR is also a much harder trade. Where for now, you got to just have to sit with it. It's in this wide range, just 30-point range, where again the target is that 248. But again, even that point, if it gets there, that's third time's a charm through blue sky breakout. So we wouldn't necessarily want to sell there, but that's the target for now. MDT we got in today. A few of the guys through this 120.
I was looking at that tomorrow. That looks really good.
Yeah. So for now, again, stop verse 114. You can kind of go probably verse 117, but that's just a stop for now.
Right. That's so tough. That 114 stop is really tough.
Yeah. Moving on, MMC. This was another blue sky breakout. We got in last week. Same thing. 120 versus 116, looking great. What's expensive tends to get more expensive. This is much easier. I'd rather risk $4 in this name than that 6% trying to pick the bottom in Dash.
Yeah, well, especially this year, because this is what is this? An insurance broker MMC? It's like these are the names that are winning this year. It's not the sexy names. It's the MMCs of the world that are keeping the market up. So it's about 5. These are the Easter eggs right here.
Mm-hmm. Continuing on.
Chiming in because I got nothing to add.
It's all good. All right, so next one over. This PHM, again, same story.
Yep.
This is a home builder. Blue sky breakout. We bought up through that 50. The pivot stop was versus that 47. Broke out. Again, just all new all-time highs. Path lead resistance higher. Just holding it. Snap was another one. You want to move over?
Yep.
Same thing. We saw coming into major support. We saw this 47, 48 area has held, basically since Christmas time. And this is an area you'd expect it to kind of break down and just flush down, through that low. It just didn't happen. We bought up through that little area up to 52. And again, just working slowly. But again, a lot of these support buybacks or these blue sky breakouts going over. Again, it was a lot. Shaky around for a week. I had to really start buying stuff.
Yeah, miss me, huh? Yeah.
Again, UPS, same thing. Similar trades.
Best fucking trading week of your life, y'all. Fucking go to Mexico more often.
So next up was UPS, same trade as you. We bought up through 163. Stop versus 156 versus that major support level. And that first target is that retest of that 178, that prior all-time high. And then rounding it up, the final name has been this VR.
Personally, I'm trying to... I'm hoping this hits around that 176 so I can hold this guy into earnings. I just think shippers and things like logistic companies are just going to fucking kill it next quarter.
Yeah.
But just side note.
Yeah, no. I mean, like I said, a lot of these, it's like getting back to those retest levels where that's kind of the target, but those would still be technical levels. If we were flat, that we'd be looking to find those type flags and buy through.
Right.
And then lastly, this is VRTX. This has just been a name that's been basing for
looks good tomorrow.
Quite some time. Bought up through 220, basically ticked the high. And this was, again, going back to just giving it the proper room. I originally had the stop first 200 for quite a bit of time, and recently just started to move it up first at 208. I added some last week up through that 216. And it's, again, looks very tight for entry through this 215, 216 area. But I'm still, for now, for how much I bought, I'm just going to wait for a 220. But it still looks great in this tighter little area versus that 212, 208 area. So again, Shake, with you gone for the last week, I had to,
Yeah, really sling on the wrist. Damn, slinging it too.
Yeah. So.
Whew, very impressed. Nice job.
So that was that. That's all the good trade, bad trades, and I think all we got is book of the week.
We talked about this one in a few episodes. I don't know how long it was ago. Psychology of Money. I was reading this on vacation a little bit, and it's so funny. It's like it was talking about how the more aspect. The guys will never be happy. It's like this guy was at a what was it? This art.
I know. When he talks about the author of. What was
the artist? Yeah, the artist. He's like, this hedge fund manager made more money in a day than you've made in your entire history of selling paintings, and you're supposedly the greatest. Like, what's that mean about you? And the guy was like, I have something he'll never have, and that's enough. And then we talk about the Bill Hwang story, and the guy who had $10 billion lost in a week and a half, just chasing that more, and that it really gives yourself some perspective. So you always want to strive to succeed at your greatest lengths and things like that, but you can't lose sight of the bigger picture, and you can't just constantly be spinning the hamster wheel. So and this book has a million lessons like that, which is really good.
No, it's like definitely top 10 in psychology. Man, that was a good one. I'm still on your Texas Rich.
Oh, you started that? I gotta fucking get back into that one.
So
fire.
The one,
where are you at?
I'm on two.
You're gonna finish it before me, and it's gonna make me so mad.
100%. I'm on 250, so I'm more than half.
250. So what's the last thing you saw happen?
So one of the interesting things was we kind of got in like the mob books last year with the JFK assassination, and one of the guys that Hunt knew in Texas, one of the club owners, was the guy who shot Oswald. So that,
fuck!
And
you're way ahead of me. Yeah. I just fucking blew that for me. All right, no more details.
So,
actually, give him a story.
So that again, that's. But one of the interesting things that I think relates, at least that I can relate to, is he had this he has this food business that just loses money every single year. But he has all this land. He has all this. He grows corn and every kind of fruit and vegetable you can imagine. But he loses money at it every single year, and he just doesn't care. And for me reading it, it's like this guy's making, $100 million a year selling oil. Why is he wasting any bit of his time on losing $1 million selling corn? And it's just like the guy, it's not like he doesn't care. He just doesn't want to close up or admit that he was wrong. And I think even, I don't know, way different scale. But I think when I had the limo business, that was a lot of fun, but more of a waste of time from a business standpoint, where it was so hard to just say I'm done with it. I'm going to just move on. Where for this, it's why doesn't this guy just close the farm up? Who cares? Just have the land.
Yeah.
And it's just
pressing the button to take the L on something you worked years on. It's different than a trade. It's years of hard work.
Yeah. So that was the one thing I could relate. Again, on the other side, all the numbers are just crazy. But that was the one interesting. And again, he wasn't had nothing to do with the assassination. I don't want to spoil it, which I just did. But it was just ironic that he had that close relationship with someone who was so close to the matter, and it was just very bad timing on his part, where they had a news article basically trashing JFK when he was coming to Dallas, and then the week later what happened, and it just made it look like he was involved when it comes out that he wasn't at all, but just very bad timing on his part.
Right.
But again, things you'll never you can't predict those. Just like this, it's like the Billy Wang guy. He couldn't predict that he would lose all of his money in a week, where that just these things happen.
So you got to put yourself in the right positions.
Yeah. So I think.
All right. I think we got him, huh?
I think we did it.
They said get him, so we got him. All right, folks. give us a like, subscribe, maybe a little comment if you made it this far. I don't know. Make it worth our time. But I mean, this stuff's for you guys. So, any questions, anything you want us to talk about, hit us up. We'll hit it up next week. Until then, see you. Chart Talk 82. I can't wait already.
81.
No, next one.
Oh,
next one.
okay.
It was a little close off, like send them up next week.
Gotcha.
All right. See you, folks.